Yo, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah. You already know what it is. You already know where you're at. We're gonna do this like there's a fucking 1,000 people right now. Like there's a fucking million people right now. You know? I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all for being here. We're gonna do this 1,000 times over. Deadass. And when I say that, I mean Deadass. Oh my god. It's fucking pollen is killing me. It is fucking killing me. I mean, seriously. I'm fucked up right here. So if all is going according to plan, we should be streaming to YouTube. Streaming to YouTube right now properly. Welcome to the Deadass Podcast. We're going to start out like we normally do with the shout-outs. Yo, shout-outs to all of the people that have had me on their shows recently. Since we've last talked, loyal public. Since we've last talked, I have performed at Awake. I have done a, rest in peace to Aaron. I'm happy about people being in better places. Since we've last talked, I've done an MS benefit show. If you've been listening, we've talked about that before whenever I've had Bruce Purcell on the show. Shout out to Jeff Grant. Follow him on social media at Wasted Potential. It was a great thing to be there and be a part of that. What else has gone down? Always. I've brought this brother up multiple times on the show. If you're in Las Vegas and you have the time, the resources, and the energy to go see anything that is associated with a young man by the name of Melvin Washington Jr., you should go be a part of that. I mean, this dude works his ass off. Like, really. He's one of the most legit fucking people. Y'all might not see it coming, but that man right there is it's the future incarnate. Shout out to Melvin. He had me on his show at the Royal Hookah Lounge. He's got a couple shows going on. Off the top of my head, I know he's at the Royal Hookah Lounge, very close to the airport, McCarran International, and that starts at 9:30 every Tuesday. You should go check him out. He also does a show at that same time in a different place called Stateside Lounge. So for all my downtown people, check out Stateside Lounge on Wednesdays. And man, it feels so good to see people fucking up on their shit and really, really trying to do something for a community that doesn't always have anything. And we get criticized. And now, I'm not from Las Vegas, but I've lived in Las Vegas long enough, and I've done enough things here that I'm local. Don't get it twisted. I'm not a native, but I am a local, and I might be the most local of locals out here. Oh, man. I love when I see people from for Las Vegas. I really, really do. Because we get criticized for being a vapid fucking place or not having any culture. And the traffic's so bad and it's all debauchery and I've had such a bad time in Vegas. You know what? That's you. That's your dumb fucking Midwestern, East Coast, West Coast, corny ass fucking coming out here trying to have a little bit too much fun and you fuck up your life. But in defense of the actual city and the whole fucking valley, from the fucking Seven Hills to the Farm Road, from the fucking Sunrise Manor to fucking Summerlin South, all of that shit. We have a great city, and I would never fucking allow somebody to just disrespect that shit. Like I'm beating niggas' ass. But I'm saying, like, we have a wonderful place that we live in, and I'm gonna just leave it at that. I just spent 5 minutes on intros and shit like that. Today I want to talk about understanding, and with understanding, there are a few points that I want to make, and by a few I really mean a couple, and I might go here and there with it. The first thing when it comes to understanding is like the clarity in communication. I'm talking about it on an interpersonal level. Understanding is so strange because we all put up roadblocks despite the barriers that are put up by society. And I'm not saying that we aren't influenced by them. We are. We are totally influenced by them all the time. There is an easy avenue for us to be blocked as far as understanding one another in any interaction, whether it comes down to you ordering a cheeseburger, asking for a beer, standing in line, on up to dealing with, let's say, trying to get booked or trying to get a promotion or trying to get whatever. Not everybody sees things the same way. And if we're going to get to a level where as a species or as a society or even within your own personal groups, I'm not trying to preach no gospel to you. I'm basically saying take a moment to really consider understanding. And I say this because I've really enjoyed experimenting it with it myself. It's saying, okay, this person is reacting in an unexpected way. Is it because they're offended, or is it because they don't understand? Am I not making myself understood? In the past couple of weeks, I've been more and more into performing in clubs as opposed to performing in bars. Thanks to many other people, I'm kind of easing my way into that, and you get into more diverse audiences when you're dealing with clubs, and you can see what you're really made of, as opposed to dealing with bars, which basically just test your mettle, because you go from people not giving a fuck in these bars versus people paying, hard-earned money and being prepared to laugh in a club, and it's a different context, and it changes the rhetorical situation. So that has raised a question for me about understanding, and that's why I bring it up to you true believers out there today. Sometimes you really have to take a step back, and it's not as hard as you might think. I find it ridiculous that and redundant that there are so many people that are kind of set or stuck in their own ways about how things are presented to them and how they need to feel, and their beliefs become their identity. And that's not really fair. I don't care about other people. It's not fair to yourself. It's not fair to yourself to say, well, this is the rock that I stand on, therefore everybody else is for me or against me. That's very, very foolish thinking. Understanding is an absolute necessity. Like, it is a key to succeeding. It's a key to inner peace. If you cannot understand that I hate to say basic things like, oh, the world doesn't revolve around you. Or you don't matter that much. Because it might come off cynical, and it might come off overly motherly or things like that. But the reality is very, very simple. The world doesn't revolve around you. You need to understand that. You also need to understand that people deal largely, mostly, if there's any semblance of normalcy that we can agree on, it's that we're all a little bit selfish. And in being selfish, we don't always see where the other person is coming from completely. We see a goal, we see a result, we see what we can get out of that, but do we always really, really understand that? Do you really understand? Think about today so far. Say this is the first thing you're listening to. Think about it throughout your day. Say this is the last thing you're thinking about. Reflect on your day, not your whole life. None of that. Just on your day. How many things did you do today? How many interactions have you had? How many articles have you read, or books, or road signs, or just being on the road, so on and so forth? How many things have you done today where either you or the other person were not actually understanding each other? Your goals can be accomplished. You can get what you want, they can get what they want. For example, let's say you go to a place to order food on your lunch break. Now, somebody's working there. Whoever works at that place eventually gets a lunch break. Let's hope. You tell them what you want, and they fucking give it to you. And they have to communicate to other people how to make that shit, and then also at the same time serve you while you wait. They wait on you. How much understanding is involved there? Especially considering that you are one of, depending where you live, 12 or 12,000 people that they have waited on, in the past few days or in a day or whatever it is. Like hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands, so on. Like the level of understanding you should have should expand a little bit more beyond your personal, oh, I do the right thing. Like, that's always a good practice. I don't want people to think that I'm singling out anybody. I'm talking to everybody. Your understanding can go beyond, oh, I'm going to be chill. Really, really think about it sometimes. That way you can spread that on to people when they get frustrated or they're fucked up in a certain situation or they're confuzzled or flabbergasted or anything like that. Sometimes you have to really, really think, what is going on in this person's life, and give them a little bit of slack. Do I think that overall we are too abrasive and too combative? No, I don't. What I actually think, and this is the other side of understanding, I think people are not abrasive and combative on the whole. I think people are fucking scared. I think people are fucking scared. And you know what? There's a lot of shit to be afraid of. There's aliens. There's dinosaurs. There's the mother of all bombs. There's student debt. There's bread with a little bit of mold. But fuck, I do gotta eat something. There's a lot of things to be afraid of. That is where understanding is going to be an actual principle in your life. It's going to be actually more important. Not so much in how do other people feel? That's how you end up getting fucked up. I'm not saying it needs to be the focus. You should think about how other people feel. But when it comes down to understanding shit in general and where you want to put yourself in a position, God damn it, I understand I didn't turn off this air conditioner. That shit just cut off. Thank you, air conditioner. I'm glad my breath is so cool that you could cut off. But I digress. Fucking, you gotta understand, like, your wants, man. You know, and really just get down on what you want to do. And understand that it takes fucking time. Like, comprehend the shit. You don't have to analyze it so much. It just comes down to a basic thing of proof. You know, I'm not a mathematical person by any means. I'm very much the opposite. But the logic and the things that come with mathematics are not to be taken lightly. You have to understand shit. Like, really just think about it. The next time you feel that you might be feeling on edge or anxious or taking shit to a limit, you have two options. Take a step back and listen, or ask a motherfucking question with all due respect to that. Because there's nothing wrong with being incredulous if you feel slighted by something, but ask the question. And when it comes to asking the questions, and I say this in reference to about a dozen and a half conversations that I've had in like maybe the past 5 days. You know, when it comes to that asking questions shit and trying to gain knowledge, they say there's no such thing as a stupid question. There are stupid questions. And if you want to ask a stupid question, it's a question where you're looking for more than one answer. If you ask a question that can have one answer and then move on from there and then start to put things together. But if you're looking at everything as one enormous issue in one way or another, you're never going to be able to see the multiple dimensions in what you're trying to discuss or analyze or exploit or use or just advance in. You're never going to get a full product or a full experience out of looking at something like, oh, it's just this. Like, it is the specifics, it is the detail, it is the nuances that makes human interaction, art, anything technical, that it's the very specific things and how they work, you know, in tandem or as an entire group, so on and so forth. It's how things work together that makes sense. But you cannot look at things as a whole unless you're going to look at them as wholly beautiful, because that's all you can really do. You can look at things as ugly as a whole, and that makes you an ugly little asshole. Like, that's what you are. You can't look at things in an overly negative way, an overtly negative way, and an overall negative way. It's just not true, because the reality of the situation is everything is as good as it could possibly be. If you're following my train of thought here, everything is as good as it could possibly be, which means by definition, everything is perfect. Now, we know socially and opinion-wise, being the temperamental beings that we are, and having our wonderful judgment that has gotten our species this far, no, everything is not fucking perfect. But everything is developed in a perfect way, and it's set up for somebody to come along and say, okay, I could fix this with me and my people, or me alone, depending on how big or small the issue is, and how much potential that person carries, energy. If you can solve the next problem, you're setting it up for someone else to do the next fucking perfect thing. And you should do that. You shouldn't go out of your way to do it. Condition yourself to just do the right fucking thing, but don't just do it. Don't just do it because it's the right thing to do. Understand why it's a good thing to do. Does that make sense? Understand why. Because doing good things just to do good things is how the Holocaust happens. You know, you can't just follow chain of command and all of that shit. Do the actual, natural, good thing. I'm not going to rant and rave about believing yourself and having a positive attitude and all of that. I've had those conversations before. I've had episodes like that before. This one is very, very strictly about the importance of understanding. So what can we do? We can speak as clearly as possible. We can understand that just because we feel things, or even if we think things that are somewhat based on fact, that does not necessarily make them true. And we should take that into account when people react, and also how we interact. And lastly, what we ultimately do. What we ultimately decide on doing. What, you know, when it comes down to the decision that you need to make. Stop or go, red light, green light, understand that even if you are doing the right thing, and you do understand why you're doing the right thing, you still might be incomplete in your understanding of it. And that's not a bad thing at all. But don't pretend like everything is the most important thing, because it isn't. There are some things that are more important than others. They're more imperative. They're more pertinent. You know, they're definitely more urgent. I think that's what I'm saying. And, you know, that comes down to priorities. And what can we do as far as the scoring that comes along with, you know, being an enlightened person in general? Explain to people in a way that they can, again, understand that the truth fucking hurts sometimes. You know? It does. And the main thing you can do when you're experimenting, you know, because that's all your life is. You're making decisions based on whatever code or feelings or method. You make your decisions for a reason. You know, whether it's chaotic or not, there's still a reason to it. You gotta figure out a way to really just, like, take it easy on other people. Because eventually somebody's gonna cuss you out. Or eventually you're gonna cuss somebody out. And you wouldn't be wrong for that, you know? Charge that shit to the game. Like, there was a dude at my open mic the other day that was talking all kinds of shit. Like, you guys are garbage and blah, 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 and you suck. And the reason he did that is because everybody was telling all these outrageous jokes. And you know, we're really getting down in this dive bar like we do every Thursday at Motor City Cafe at 11 p.m., 4080 South Paradise Road, Las Vegas, Nevada. You know, we were just getting down there. Because somebody had written on the list, no bad words allowed, and he took that to heart. Well, he lacked understanding, you know? And then I went up there and roasted him for calling everybody shitty. Well, I didn't understand that he thought this was supposed to be whatever, and so on and so forth. So you really just give each other a pass. Be fucking friendly towards each other. You guys, be fucking friendly. With that, by the time this gets on to iTunes, the show will probably be over. But if you are listening live, come on out to the 13-minute show at Hard Hat Lounge. I believe the address is 1675 Industrial Road. It's on the corner of Wyoming and Industrial here in Las Vegas in the Naked City, 9 p.m. April 15th. We are going to have 13 minutes from Jonathan Sparkles. He's going to be our headline. I've got Kevin Price. I've got improv with Maria S.M. And if I'm not mistaken, I have Tommy Todd added to the bill as far as the improv stuff. Also, speaking of understanding, there is an open mic. The open mic, you will be given 130 seconds. If you'd like to be a part of the open mic, go ahead and show up. The best 130 seconds, that's 2 minutes and 10 seconds. You will win $25 if you have the best 2-minute set at the 13-minute show. Again, that is an open mic, which means it's open so people can show up. If you're not there, there's no way that you could win the contest. So if you're interested in maybe making $25 for talking 2 minutes of bullshit, then go on ahead and do that. Other than that, thank you guys so much for the support. You can check out the Deadass Podcast on slamdunkjesus.com. I am on iTunes. You can hit me up on Twitter at slamdunkjesus. Anything you want to rant or rave about, or you want to curse me, send that to Randall Thompson, RandallThompson at slamdunkjesus.com. There was something I wanted to tell you guys. Oh, there's just another thing that I needed everybody to understand. And that is that I eat ass, my niggas. I really, really do. See ya!